This weekend, the Trackmania World Cup takes place live in France with the top 16 Trackmania players in the world participating. This is why I think you should watch it. If you've never heard about Trackmania esports before, it is really exciting. Let me show you some examples. This is the final of the World Cup in 2018 between Kappa, Pack, Carl Jr. and Tween. And just look how close they are in terms of racing.
Kappa still in first place, no one hitting the checkpoint. Pack up to second to third place. Tween losing some speed, and Pack with a great transition onto the quarter pipe. And now it is the two finalists, Kappa and Pack, up to the last corner. Who's gonna be the world champion? Is it gonna be Pack or Kappa? Kappa with more speed, and he's gonna get it. Kappa is the new world champion.
Very, very close race there. Kappa winning that final by just 11/100ths of a second. Let me show you more examples. This was last year's grand final between Uffy, Carl Jr., Kappa, and Pack.
Successfully into the second, using the reactor boost, and Pack is out. Carl Jr. now can taste it. He can sense blood in the water. He knows that Pack has failed, and it's only between Uffy and Kappa to try and stop him in this tracks. But Carl Jr. has a good line here into the final corner. One corner between you and glory. One corner between you and victory. Uffy's trying to stand in his way, but Carl Jr. makes it through the corner. Who has more speed? Uffy's trying to chase him down. Carl Jr. does just have a good line here, and on the line, it's the four-time champion. Carl Jr. takes it home.
Carl Jr. winning last year his 4th World Championship title. He is a monster when it comes to winning World Championships. They've gone to map 5 and also round 5, as long as the match can go, and it's the last point. Whoever wins this round wins.
Really good spot here to potentially take the throne away from Carl. Carl will try with a low jump to get a bit closer. He gained 2/10 over the uphill and downhill.
Familiar voice of the caster.
Carl is still getting closer. It's still the same gap. Mutta trying to hold on. The last jump to the side. Who wins? TMGL this season. Carl barely overtaking the lead. Mutta is going to go for the more speed. Whoever gets it best here wins. And Mutta will have some more speed.
Mutta won that final.
Can't see points.
6,000ths of a second. Trackmania esports is really, really exciting, and it is so visual too, because you just see cars racing, and it's very easy to tell which car is ahead of the other. That's all you really need to pay attention to. The level is incredible, and we're coming into World Championship now. What I want to do is give you an introduction to who all the players are, where they're from, what their achievements are, and maybe give you someone that you can root for in the tournament. Before I do that though, there's a high probability that this is already going on my Twitch channel if you're watching this. So head on over to Twitch and see if the World Championship is currently ongoing. You will learn just as much just from watching it live as it happens. I've made this tier list right here of the 16 qualified players, and I'm gonna sort them into 5 categories. Can win it all, likely on the podium, should reach semifinals, make or break, and underdog. So let's start with Uffy. He's from Switzerland, plays for Team BDS. Last World Cup, he got 4th place. Now, he's had a really meteoric rise to the top in Trackmania. Not a lot of people knew just how good Uffy would become. Just this summer, he won the Serrator Cup, a massive tournament in France. I think he is one of the favorites to make the top 4. Uffy, I think we'll expect to see him in the finals. That's at least my prediction. Then we have Aurel. Aurel is a consistent player. Aurel is the player that mostly will never crash, but also doesn't push it 99% to the limit. And that can sometimes hinder him in going too far. Last World Cup, he got to the top 8. I think there's a high chance he does make it to the semifinal, but just because there's always this element of a bit of lacking pace, I'm going to put him in the make or break category. Then we have Binks. Interesting thing about Binks is he plays Trackmania on a laptop keyboard. Last World Cup, he got 11th, and overall, he's a pretty consistently fast player. Like, he will drive good runs, but he will also crash. So this is a bit the opposite of Aurel. But Binks, I think, in this tournament might not reach the semifinals, which is crazy to say because he is extremely good. Now we have Bren. If you look at this list of accolades, you know that he is a force to be reckoned with. 1 Serrator Cup win and 5 times on the podium. 7th and 8th in last World Cup. Also won the Twitch Trials event, which just happened. Bren, I think, will get into the top 8. And now, the man that perhaps does not need any introduction, Carl Jr. Just look at this. 4 World Championship wins and 3 podiums as well. His worst performance is 3rd. Also won Trackmania Grand League 3 times, only losing once, and then 5 Serrator Cup wins as well, because why not? Carl Jr. is the GOAT of Trackmania esports. He's like your Magnus Carlsen, like your Michael Phelps, like your Tiger Woods, like your Faker. He is the most winning and one of the best consistently. And he's playing again. And you really cannot put him anywhere except Carl can win it all. And he also did an interview just before the start of the tournament where he had this to say.
What do you want to accomplish right now? What is your goal when you have already accomplished so much?
My only objective is like to not make it easy for the others. That's the only thing I'm doing right now.
Doesn't want to make it easy for the others. He just wants to make it as difficult as possible. He wants to see, you know, people rise to his level, and we will, I think, see that this year. Then we have Grenady, who is a wheel player. He drives with a steering wheel, one of the only professional Trackmania players that do so. 20 years old from Germany, 7th last TMGL season, 8th in the mid-season invitational. And this is actually his first world championship, his first time traveling to land. And he's posting pictures all over Twitter about the difficulties of traveling with a wheel. Apparently, he'll have to play on the stage barefoot because he doesn't feel the pedals when he has shoes on. A lot of things, but he's a fun player and a streamer. I do think he can make top 8, but I also think it will perhaps be more difficult for him, lacking the LAN experience. Therefore, I think Grenady is an underdog going into the tournament, but it would be so fun to see him do well. I do have high hopes for Grenady, even though I put him here in the underdog category. What you need to know, by the way, is that no matter where I place these players, they are all S-tier Trackmania players. Like leagues better than me, for example. This is more of a expected performance prediction rather than I'm saying this player's good, this player's bad. Just want you to know that. Then you have Gwen, who is on paper one of the fastest Trackmania players out there. He is so damn good. For example, in Cup of the Day, anytime he plays, he usually wins. He has like a 20% win rate. He won the last 3 Strader Cups and the French Championship twice. He's good, and he's only 17 years old. So this is a name that you are going to get familiar with. Glenn, I think, can do well if he wants to, but in interviews, he said that he feels not as motivated for this World Cup because of exams and stuff right before in the lead up. I still think he'll reach semifinals. I don't know if I see him in the finals. Then we have Kappa, a great dude from the Czech Republic. He has 1 World Cup win, which was in 2018, and 3rd from the last one. He also has a TMGL win from 2018. That was a great year for him. I think he will do well this time too. I think Kappa steps up and gives like 101% for events like this. I think we're gonna see him in the finals again, up there with Carl and Afia. And then we have Massa, another German player, a well-known name in the community, great at technical styles. And then a couple of years ago, the competitive scene shifted from only being drifting to more multi-style, which has been quite the adjustment for Massa. But I think he's catching up now, handling it well. He's getting more consistent. Used to be known as a very risky player. Now, I think he's found more for rhythm. I think he will reach top 8 this time. I am not sure about the grand final though. And then we have an exciting player, Mime. Mime, another rookie in Trackmania Grand League circuit and in Trackmania World Cup. It's his first one. He won the Challenger League. He won a LAN event in the Baltics, and he got 5th last TMGL season. I feel like Mime is in some manners a young Massa. He is really fast. He's really passionate, but he does lack a bit of the consistency to deliver performances at the likes of Carl Jr. So for me, he is a make or break player. Then we have Miquatro, a player who just qualified to the top 16 in the world, the Trackmania Grand League, and also reached World Cup. He has played 3 World Cups before, and all the performances have been around the 16 to 20 spots, but could he make the top 8? Perhaps on a good day. His records on the maps have been great, so for now, I'm going to put him in the underdog category. So it would be really cool to see Miquatro perform. Let's move on to Mura. Mura is traveling to his first ever LAN event. He won TMGL against Carl Jr. Is looking like one of the best players on that map pack. Half of those maps are in the World Cup right now. The only things that are concerning to people is going from Australia, jet lag, and that, you know, how is it like playing on stage? Playing with a crowd, playing with different lights around you, different surroundings. That is really the only question mark we put on Mura, but no one doubts his raw skill, and I think he will adapt to those challenges and reach the top 4. Otak is a young and upcoming player from France. It would be a great story if he does reach the top 8 this time. I don't have him there as one of my favorites. I think he's in the underdog category, but I think he can deliver. Pack is a previous world champion. He has won TMGL once and 4 podium. This season leading up to the World Cup hasn't been the best for him. I do still think he should reach the top 8, perhaps also get into the finals. For now though, I have made my top 4. Pack, I think, will definitely be in the mix. Then we have Papu, also hasn't had the best season yet. Had a heartbreaking loss at the Serrator Cup, didn't get to the playoffs on stage, but showed up huge in the qualifier. His records on the maps right now are great, and I think he can deliver too. But it is hard to make a tier list because you're going to have to place some people top 8, some people on the outside. Papu right now is a make or break player. And then lastly here, alphabetically, we have Tween from Slovakia. He has had 6 World Cup podiums, but he has never won. Tween's story is a bit of an unfortunate one. He's always gotten so close to winning, to lifting the trophy, but never quite gotten there. He also thought recently about quitting the game, but he has had some great improvements. The last player here on the list, I think he's an underdog for the tournament, but I do think Tween can deliver, and perhaps we see another podium, maybe even a win for him. I think it would be all around cool if someone is able to dethrone Carl Jr. I think maybe he still is a level above. Coming up this weekend, as I mentioned earlier, it might be live right now. If you haven't seen Trackmania Esports before, go check it out. Twitch.tv Virtual. I'll be casting it. I hope you enjoyed that tier list. If you want to make yours, I'll leave a link to the tier list in the description. You can @ me on Twitter with yours. Do check out the tournament. Maybe you find a new esport you enjoy. I at least think it's pretty easy to watch if you still haven't heard of it or know much about Trackmania. So maybe you can watch it with your friends. That's all for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video. And until next time, have a good one.